Hi everyone, Rene Bastarache here with the American School of Hypnosis, and today's interview is going to be with Doug Allitt of DougAllitt.com. And hi Doug, thanks for coming. I'd like to welcome you.
Hi Rene.
I'm going to start out by asking you to brag about yourself. I'd like you to tell us all about you, your business, and the kind of things that you do.
Okay. Where to start? Well, hypnosis is my main game, I guess. Also a Reiki master and teacher, and which I really enjoy doing. I know in your interview with Tina, she really enjoyed it as well. I think it just must be the flow of energy that happens at the time. It's just as good for the practitioner as the client. But hypnosis is a fascinating thing. It's fascinated me for 30 years because once upon a time I went to a hypnotherapist and for a particular problem I was having at the time. Actually, it would be about 45 years ago. And I found him quite useful, and after a few sessions he did say something to me. He said, have you tried this on anyone? And I said, funny you should ask. I actually have, and it did work. And ever since then I've been really fascinated. But we went through a period where we had lots of different businesses and retail stores and managed things, and I got to a stage in life where I thought, I really should be doing something that fascinates me, that I'm really super interested in, and that's when I became a Reiki master, and that just followed through that. I should do this hypnosis thing as well, get a certificate, and so I found your name on the internet, and we took it from there. But so I do Reiki and hypnosis, and I also do coaching. And I've helped people who are in the stages of going through the stages of passing over, been able to help them, which I found just amazing to do. And so that's my basic thing. Those I guess those three things. I also do the tarot cards. I'm not really good with the big serious ones. I do the ones by Doreen Virtue, and I find them to be extremely accurate. That just bowls me over every time I do them, which I find interesting because my mother used to do them. Mum passed away about 14 years ago, I suppose, but Mum always told me the story that she used to do the cards, but she had to give them away because they got so accurate. She started to worry that that she would get bad news, and she didn't want to face that. So I guess in a lot of ways I've taken it after my mum, because my dad was an engineer and he was an amazing man. He could design and build things in the engineering field which would just blow your mind, but I definitely didn't take after that, so I'm definitely taken after Mum. So those three things is probably my interest. I also do a little bit of house clearing. Actually, the house you're seeing me in now, there was a strange spirit within the house when we first got here, and I could tell because hairs on my neck used to raise, and that's always my giveaway signal. And the dog would not walk past a certain part of the house, and so I thought, well, I better do something about that. So I did a clearing, and lo and behold, nothing since. So I do like doing that as well.
Now, the house clearing and the tarot, so that metaphysics part, do you do that just for yourself, or do you also do that business-wise?
No, I have done it for friends and family, but I do it for myself mainly, yes.
Okay, you know what's going through my mind right now, okay? Not about that, but you said you were interested in hypnosis 35 years ago. Is that when
I was indeed. No, actually, when I think back, it was very interesting to compare the methods you've taught and what was used then. And he actually had me with my elbow on the arm of the chair, and with my hand up like that, and to get my hand going like that. And then he said, "Now try and stop it," and I couldn't stop it. And I guess that was his induction, and it was very good. It worked. But I do know he had a recorded session in those days. Of course, it was just a cassette tape, because I could hear him plug in the cassette and press the button and go.
45 years ago, I would have thought a recorded session would have been him writing really fast as he was talking.
That's right.
So, about how long ago did you actually start hypnosis? How many years ago?
Well, that was when I first became interested in it, and I suppose about 10 years after that, I was able to hypnotize friends at a gathering, but then it sort of got forgotten about as I moved on through life, and it's only recently, within the last 4 years, I guess, that I really thought, well, I should have a go at this and do it, and I was really glad I did.
So there was no specific thing that made you want to start it as a business. You just, I'm going to try it.
Yeah, just a desire. I thought, well, that sort of thing fascinates me, how the mind works and how people are influenced by things. And so I guess it was just a natural progression. I thought, well, before I'll be beyond a working life, I really want to give this a go and see what happens, see where it takes me.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people watching this, of course, are going to be practitioners, especially people new in the business or prospective ones wanting to come in. So when you first started out, a lot of people, they like to hear how you started. Did you start from your home? Did you rent an office? Did you share an office with someone else? Put up a tent? How did you do it?
I've only ever done it from home. Just behind where the computer screen there is the chair I have my clients sit in, and I have a chair just in front of them, and strange as it may seem, I set the dog up on the couch with a cushion, and during hypnosis she goes to sleep as well, would you believe? And she doesn't stir until I do the awakening with the client, which I find really interesting. And so I don't do it all at home here, because we're actually in our lounge now, and that's where I would do it. And I've only ever had one outside client where I've gone. She had a fear of traffic lights. She was very fearful of the traffic lights turning red, and so I would go to her house, and we'd work on it there. But that's the only time I've done it anywhere else other than in my home.
Okay, now I know another question that people are wondering about right now, because I didn't say this at the beginning. They're going to notice that you have a funny accent, okay? I mean, they're going to think you're from some weird place in the United States, like maybe Texas or something. So where are you from?
I'm from a city called Frankston, which is on the shores of Port Phillip Bay, which is we're about 50 kilometres from Melbourne, which is the capital of the state of Victoria in Australia, and it's it's a wonderful spot.
I know we had a hard time getting the hours straight. Over here it is 8:30 p.m. on a Wednesday, and over there it's
right.
what?
Well, looking up at the clock on the wall, it is 25 to 11 on Thursday the 11th.
So you're a whole day ahead of me almost.
Pretty much, yeah.
What's tomorrow's winning lottery numbers, by the way? I wish it worked that way.
Actually, that could work that way. I've never thought of that. You could enter in the Australian lottery.
When we sign off, we'll talk here, so hang on.
Yeah, we'll have a quiet word afterwards.
Now, what do you feel are your most successful topics? What do you probably specialize in? What's been the best for you with hypnosis?
I guess anxiety problems. I've had people, as I said, concerned about the traffic lights changing colour, people afraid to walk across open spaces. So that would be the main areas there. To tell you the truth, I know stop smoking is meant to be the most popular. I have not had a stop smoking client as yet, which I guess is interesting.
It's amazing, yeah. That's the majority. I'm always telling students that's the main thing you're going to deal with, but okay.
Yeah.
I can see fear of open
waiting for it
spaces.
to happen.
In Australia, I can see fear of open spaces. I mean, it's very open, right?
It is, yeah. It's a big country. I guess the size of Australia would be about the size of the USA in actual size.
Now, you must deal with a lot of phobias, because I know when you see the advertisements about travel to Australia, it says travel to Australia where virtually any of our wildlife can kill you, because you get so many dangerous.
I think that might be more advertising hype. I wouldn't believe that too much. Just don't go swimming too much.
Right. Okay, so you don't do smoking, that's not the main thing. It's mostly anxiety. Now another thing that most new people, actually even existing practitioners, are constantly asking me, which I like to ask everyone, what would you think is your most successful advertising technique for getting clients, for letting them know about you?
The most successful advertising technique is people you meet. The best one for me was I joined a group with the local council, and it was just like a discussion group on metaphysical subjects, and I got chatting to people there, handed my card around, and one thing led to another. Someone from that came along and they recommended someone else, and so really word of mouth would be my main avenue there. I did have someone who saw my name on the internet, and so they got in touch with me there. But truly, that's the main avenue, is people I've met and people I've given my card to, and that's where they've come from. So I guess I would always recommend, if people wanted to find new clients, is to get out and just meet people. Leave your card wherever you go. Let everyone know that you are a hypnotherapist. And you might get 1 in 100. Well, so what? That means you go meet 1,000 people. You'll get 10 new clients, and they'll recommend you, and it'll be like a growing tree, if you like. And one thing leads to another, and of course they'll come back to you in time as well.
Okay, what do you think? For someone new starting out, what does it take, in your opinion, to be successful in business?
Persistence. Never give up. Absolutely, 100% persistence. I think most people fail because they don't keep trying. Whatever your field of endeavour, if you just walk away and say, "Oh, too hard, I can't do it," you're not going to succeed. You've just got to stay in the game. Keep swinging the bat, and eventually you hit the ball. It's the only way.
Okay, and bringing me to the fun question. Okay, where you are now. Yeah. What would you tell the 20-year-old Doug Allitt about what you're doing now? What advice would you give him?
Work harder. Absolutely. Meet more people. Push harder. I guess next week, actually next Tuesday, if anyone's feeling like sending greetings and presents, I like big presents. Next Tuesday is my 65th birthday, so you're never too late in life to start a new career. I recommend it thoroughly. But they do say now that people will go through so many careers during their lifetime, whereas once upon a time, I guess, 60 years ago, 50 years ago, people chose a career and that was their career for life. But these days, more and more often, people are changing careers and having multiple careers during a lifetime, and some of them completely different from where they started out, which is absolutely in my case. So what would I advise myself in my 20s is to just go for it as hard as I can, meet more people, don't hold back, just don't hold back, go for it.
Now, just so you know, 65 isn't even halfway towards the oldest students that I have. When Raluca and
Is that so?
Oh, the oldest that I had is I actually taught a student that was 92 years old. And his name was Charles.
Fantastic.
And when I asked him, I said, Charles, why are you doing this at 92 years old? He says, I can't get my kids out of the house, and someone's got to support them. Think of that, 92 years old.
I love the attitude.
Yeah.
How can you fail with an attitude like that?
It was funny because when it came to, he lived in the Poconos, so a little ways away from Philly, and he didn't want to pay his tuition early before the class. He says, can I just pay my tuition when I come? And I says, why is that? He goes, well, my wife says at my age, she says, you never know when you're going to go, so this way you don't have to get a refund in case you go first.
I guess he was a wise fella.
Practical.
Yeah, very.
Now we're going to have an interesting time. I think one of the best ways to learn about hypnosis, rather than learning from a book, is to hear stories of things that have happened to real clients, okay, or to real practitioners with their clients. So I like to ask a few different kinds of things. Number one, what would you say was your most amazing session that you've ever done?
Most amazing session would be that I put a lady under so deep that I actually got worried that I couldn't wake her up. She was well and truly gone, and I did the awakening and nothing happened. I did the awakening again, nothing happened, and then I had to use her name and do it a third time and speak quite a deal louder, and eventually her eyelids fluttered and she came round. I thought for a minute she might have gone.
You checked the pulse?
I was getting that far, I think.
Okay.
I thought, uh-oh, I knew I was good, but come on.
Now, it's good to know that part of our course, okay, you realize that you cannot get stuck in hypnosis, so you got to keep on trying. Okay. Don't leave them there.
But at that point, you start to think, uh-oh.
It's funny because when people are that deep, they know you're trying to take them out of hypnosis, but it's so relaxful, so like a bliss that they don't want to come out.
Yes.
And I've had that happen a few times. And my favorite technique is, let's say if it was you, I'd say, Doug, come out of hypnosis, and you don't come out. I take a deep breath, relax. I said, now, Doug, I realize you're very relaxed, and I charge $200 an hour for a session, so I'll be back in 1 hour, and we'll continue this. And usually they'll kind of open their eyes, smiling, no, I'm okay. Okay?
Yeah,
I think they call that's the most important nerve to wake somebody up, the money nerve, okay? And it always works.
That's right. That is the touchiest nerve.
Now, what would you say is the strangest topic you've ever hypnotized someone for?
Definitely, I think the stoplight one. I found it quite interesting. This lady, she would say, "Oh, look, I'm fine coming up to the traffic lights, but when I get close to them, and it's turning red, I start to get very anxious." And then she would say, sitting there, and I know it's going to go green, but I really start to freak out and get anxious about that. But she said, once it's green, I'm fine, I can drive off. But she wanted to lose that anxiety. And I would go to her, I said, well, why don't you just have the radio on and just relax? It's time out. Those couple of minutes you're there sitting on the red, you can just relax, deep breathing and all. I've tried all that. It doesn't work. And we did lots of sessions, but she eventually said, "Oh, look, I think I'll be all right now, and I'll be okay." And I've never heard back from her since. So I've only ever chalked that up to a success, a win.
She's probably stuck and frozen at some stoplight, still waiting for you.
Yeah, that's right. Cobwebs all over the car.
It's amazing because hypnosis does work great for phobias. So usually just a couple sessions will handle something like that. Now, let's see. We covered the strangest, the most amazing. What was your most unexpected session you've ever done, or the most unexpected thing that's happened in a session?
Most unexpected thing. I think probably, well, I know this is a bit humdrum, but I think the most, for me, is the first session I ever did, and I'd never, ever practice on anyone before. I know when we did the lessons, and you always taught us that we should practice on our relatives and relations, and but I went in cold turkey, if you like. The first client I ever had was my first person that I hypnotized officially as a hypnotherapist, and so, but it worked perfectly, and I was very nervous beforehand. I think it was about 3 or 4 trips to the bathroom before she arrived, and but once I got down, and all I did was I did exactly as you said to do, and I followed the script perfectly, and amazingly it all worked out fine, and everything was perfect, and she woke up, and I think I was doing double somersaults after she walked out the front door.
Now the hard thing for a hypnotherapist is the very first client, when they walk up to you and say, "How long have you been doing this?"
Yeah, exactly.
I still remember, actually, for me it was comedy hypnosis, a very first comedy hypnosis show I ever did. After the show, some guy comes over, he says, "I love the show. How long you been doing this for?" I says, "Well, about an hour." And he just started laughing and walked off because I was completely truthful.
I often think of you when doing comedy, and I think, how do you do that? The first time up there, and you've got 20 people on the stage, they're all sitting in their chairs, and you've got to put them to sleep. I think, how in the heck do you do number one? That is such a giant leap of confidence and faith in yourself.
You'd be amazed. Doing comedy hypnosis is not only the most fun you'll ever have with hypnosis, but I find hypnotizing groups easier than hypnotizing individuals because of the peer pressure. You know, I mean, 3 or 4 people going to hypnosis, and the guy's looking, "Oh, I guess it's safe. I can go too." And so it's a lot easier.
Ah, that's amazing, isn't it?
Now, okay, the last one I'm going to ask you, but that's not saying that Raluca's not going to ask you something, okay? What was the most...
What's for lunch?
What was the most difficult client you ever had, and how did you handle it?
The most difficult client, I guess the most difficult client I had came for hypnosis, but we didn't end up doing hypnosis. He came because he was having terrible trouble with his girlfriend, and she wanted to break up. He didn't want to lose her, and I was very concerned that he may be stalking her, and he stayed for about an hour. We never got to the hypnosis point. I was very concerned about him, and he would say, "Oh no, I keep ringing her. I want to try and get her to come back. What should I do? I can't live without her. I can't go forward." And so really we ended up just, instead of having any hypnosis, we just chatted, and I kept trying to calm him and say, "Look, you know, she needs to go her own way, and you need to back off, and there's a million fish in the sea. Don't worry about it. You'll find Mrs. Right." And we talk and talk and talk, and I kept using soothing words and calming words, and I guess after an hour, he said, "Oh, well, that's okay. Look, I think I'll be all right." And I said, "Look, anytime, if you just want to chat to me, just come and talk to me. Ring me up." And I was very concerned. I thought, oh, don't walk out of here and then go do something you regret, And so I said that to him in a very roundabout way, so he would never get offended or think that I was worried about what he'd do. But I never heard from him again, and we never got to the hypnosis. And so that was probably the most difficult client I've ever had, because I didn't know which way it was going to go. We didn't end up doing what we were going to do, and we just chatted. And I can only think that our chat dissolved his problem in some way, and he walked out relieved. But he paid and went, and that was it. I've never heard from him again, and I've never seen anything reported in the papers, so everything must have been okay. So there you go. Some things can turn out the exact opposite of what they start out to be.
Exactly.
I think that you did do a session, indirectly by talking to him, because every time you said something to him, you give him a suggestion.
Yeah, well, I guess so, Raluca. That's right. In a way, I guess you were conducting a hypnosis session with how you talked and the words you used, and I guess that may have been it without doing an induction or a deepener or anything. It was just a session.
I've had a situation.
Turning it over to Raluca now.
I've had a situation that was similar like that, and I ended up talking to her, but listening to her and seeing what she was saying, I was trying to talk back to her, thinking suggestion-wise, what can I tell her to, because she left, she was obviously too stressed out, she was not going to be open to close her eyes and do the hypnosis session, so I did it kind of like an analytical approach, if you say.
Yes.
She wasn't concentrated on my suggestions, she wasn't fighting them, so they work really well, actually.
Yeah. I guess you just have to play it by ear and do what you intuitively feel is the right thing.
Now, Raluca, you have any questions? I'm sure you've been taking notes there.
I have a question. What was the funnest thing that you did with hypnosis? Simple question.
The funnest thing?
Yeah.
The funnest thing is, I guess what really tickles my fancy is, as I mentioned earlier on, when I have a client here, to watch the dog go to sleep. She's a little miniature fox terrier. She's only a small dog, but she gets up on the couch, and I put a cushion there with one of my tops on top of the cushion so she knows it's me. And because my big fear is that as soon as I start to get the client under, she'll start barking at someone walking past in the street, even though I have all the curtains drawn. But she just tucks her head in, and as I'm doing the induction and deepener, she goes off to sleep as well. And as soon as we're finished, she wakes up. And as I mentioned before, I did go out to one client's house and conducted several sessions with her. In fact, 10 in all. And she had a big German Shepherd, and the German Shepherd would always be near her. And as soon as we started the session, lo and behold, this German Shepherd would just curl up into a ball on her mat, and lo and behold, she would go to sleep too, and also awake with the awakener, which that's just fascinating. So I'd be really interested if any other practitioners had the same results.
Well, we used to have a little. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's interesting you say that, because the animals are usually in the alpha brainwave state, whereas where we focus mostly, I'd say 90% of our lives is in the beta brainwave state. We're busy. So as soon as I tell you to close your eyes and relax, you go into the alpha brainwave state, at least 80%. So you're in the light state of hypnosis, which is also what we call the animal state. So when you're relaxed like that, animals they're almost like, hey, I can understand you. They're close to you. That's why I usually say if I do a session, I say take the animals out of the room because they're going to probably jump on your lap and get in the ball because they're attracted to it. They can feel it.
Yes. It is quite fascinating. So I suppose in a way it would should be possible to hypnotise an animal without another human present. I should imagine it would work.
It would be similar to what you do with Reiki. Yeah, because you can do Reiki on animals, and Reiki is mostly suggestion as well.
Well, I've actually, that's quite interesting you mentioned that, because more often than not when we go and visit people and they have pets, we'd just be sitting around after dinner or something, and 9 times out of 10 if they have a pet, it'll jump on my lap. They intuitively know, and I put my hands on them, and they sit there, and when they're done, they hop off. And that would happen 9 times out of 10. The animals have great intuition, and they know who can help them, and they'll seek that out, which I find very interesting as well.
Do you tell them that'll be $20, please?
I could leave an invoice, yes. It's a thought. Might get invited back, though.
Look, you were saying?
No, I was just going to say that we used to have a little black dog, Trevor, and he would when I would do a session with Rene, he'd jump on Rene, and Rene wouldn't even notice. And when he wake up, when I said, well, "Open your eyes," Rene, he's like, "Well, where did he came from? I didn't even know he came on me." And he stayed there exactly like that until the session was done, and they were both get up and leave. And very interesting.
It is. Animals are amazing things.
Oh, great. Well, that's all the questions we have for you, so I really appreciate you joining us. But one last thing we need to tell everybody is for people, especially watching in your area, that would like to get a hold of you for hypnosis sessions, Reiki, or any of the other services that you have, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you to learn more about you?
Look, please just go to my website at dougallitt.com, DOUGALLITT.com, and you'll find all my contact details there, and just get in touch with me and we'll go from there. It's the easy way to do it.
Great. And we'll also have that, I'm putting below when this is on YouTube below, but some of the other places we post this video, it might be above or on the side, so you folks look for it and you'll see his contact information. And if you can't find it, just get a hold of us. But anyways, I'd like to thank you very much, Doug, for joining us. I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure, Rene. It's been a lot of fun.
And thank you, Reluca. Even though you're only in the other room, I'm saying thank you because your door is closed. And I'd like to thank all you folks for joining us out there. We really appreciate you because without you, we wouldn't have a show. So see you next time.